Hey, welcome to the Digital Red Zone Client Showcase. We're here with I Am Your Plumber. How about you tell everyone your name?
Howdy, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Jimmy Chatham with I Am Your Plumber.
All right. Why plumbing? There's so many things. Guys that can fix things can do lots of different things, right?
Yeah.
So why is plumbing
So
your
with me, I just kind of fell into it. I'm a third generation plumber, so naturally, my father introduced me to it at a young age. So when I finally became of legal age to start working in the plumbing industry, I already knew so many things that made me a valuable asset to a company. So the value that company and I got in return became a win-win pretty quickly because once I realized, oh man, I'm making more on the weekends doing a job with like that than most people are making in 2 weeks at my age
yeah?
at that time. Then it was really interesting, and then I started working with, like I said, another company during the week, and they paid me more than most kids my age were making. So it
Well,
worked
and I'm sure
out,
the
and then
training you got from being passed down is worth 10 times more than any trade school you could go to.
oh yeah, oh yeah, because like a lot of the union guys that I've worked with over the years. I mean, they're great. They've been trained by the union. Don't get me wrong, but there's certain things that they just don't know, and that's just due to on the job training. Like without just straight up real experience, it's a whole different deal. So I've
Yeah,
been blessed in that area.
yeah. I think knowing how to problem solve comes through experience and making mistakes.
Yeah,
You
for
can problem
sure. Yeah,
solve.
that's
It's perfect.
that right there.
Yeah.
The making mistakes part, that's a big deal. If you're not
Oh, yeah.
able to be thrown in the swimming pool without knowing how to swim first,
That's
like I
right.
think you missed out on some things.
All right. So you're located down in Houston, Texas.
That's
Texas.
correct.
All right. So you're in Houston. Say if you're in the Houston Texans Stadium, you got the whole crowd there. They pull you out to the middle of the field, and you got 10 seconds to tell everyone in the stadium why I am your plumber.
Why us? Because
Yep.
we're going to show up differently than what I call butt crack Bob will. Butt crack Bob is your normal plumber that most people are used to, and that particular image that they have in their mind, that stereotype that
Yeah.
they may see when they describe a plumber. So we want to show up in a way that you're going to want to refer us to your grandma and feel comfortable with us being in our home with her by herself. Or a lot of customers, they'll leave us a key to their home, and when we leave, we drop it off in a certain location for them. That way they can retrieve it, and then we're good to go. We take care of their issues, and then they feel safe within their home and safe with us in their home without them being there. So it's mostly based on trust and understanding, what the client wants and how we choose to show up. I mean, butt crack Bob tends to be a bit more abrasive plumber, and I've worked with a lot of these guys before, and they're taking advantage of that during lunchtime, and that's fine. That's just not our style. So we choose to show up in a whole different manner and bring a different vibe. I know that
Lacking
was more than
people
10 seconds.
lacking people skills, I guess you'd call that, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Well, all right, that sells me.
Thank
um,
you.
a more professional plumbing service. That's what everyone wants.
Hmm.
Especially, you got a house and maybe you got a single mom. She's home alone. She's got the kids there. She's got to feel comfortable who's coming over and feel safe. So that's a great sales point.
Exactly.
All right, so let's get to the plumbing. What are some common plumbing problems you get calls for in the Houston area?
So in Houston, our soil tends to be a bit different than a lot of places around. It has a lot of movement that happens with it. So while Mama Earth is moving and shaking, pipes are shifting and breaking. So that can go from anything from water lines, drain lines, gas lines, etc. So If you got a leak, let us take a peek. We just experience all kinds of challenges that we run into with the ground movement, because it makes those pipes shift their position, and that home is pretty stationary. I mean, for the most part, but once that foundation starts moving in the home, that makes things happen too. So it's another reason why the foundation companies are loving it over
You
here.
know, I once looked at the search volume at foundation companies in your area, and it's massive. How many companies there are? So that makes sense. That makes sense to me. We have
Yeah, it makes
foundation
sense, and it
problems in
makes
my area
dollars.
too. So yeah, it makes sense. Absolutely.
Always, yeah.
All right. So you mentioned before, a lot of times you come in second call to some guy who's already been there to fix a problem. So what are some of the problems you come across that I will call, I don't want to say butt crack Bob, but it did, less professional or maybe less knowledgeable plumbers kind of maybe cut corners or make a mistake? What are some of the problems you get second calls on that you got to come fix?
A lot of like gas line calls will have customers that, you know, butt crack Bob may not be set up with the city of Houston or surrounding areas to pull permits and get inspectors out there. That way, CenterPoint can come back out and provide them gas so they can heat their home and cook on their stoves. So yeah,
Well,
it's
that's huge.
it's a big
That's
difference.
huge. You need those
Yeah.
permits in the city.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I guess I guess they should have called you the first time if you had to go fix it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And then forensic leak investigations for insurance companies. So they don't call butt crack Bob for that, because we
Right.
can do leak searches that some other companies can't, or they're not equipped to it, whether it be here or just with their tools.
Yeah, I'm sure you need special equipment to find some of that stuff. Because I know
Yeah.
dealing with roofing companies myself that you can get a leak and it shows up in the garage and it might be leaking all the way across the house and going down the truss. So finding those things is
Yeah.
tough. I guarantee. Yeah. All right. So
Mhm.
gas lines. You mentioned gas lines. So they seem to be a large volume of search in that area. And so what causes the gas line? You mentioned, I guess, the foundation shifting, or do they just get old? Or
Yeah. So a little bit of both. Like, we've ran into some gas lines that they're just rusted out terribly, and we've seen them break off right at the risers coming up out of the ground, or a little bit further underneath. And yeah, that's that's a huge risk at times. But also, we've ran into, like, we've got a customer today that they got struck by lightning during the storm. So when our rain starts happening, we have some funky stuff that happens, and those are somewhat freak accidents, but it still happens. So between the earth moving, um, pipes rusting, and then we get like freak accidents from lightning strikes, or somebody, we've seen somebody wreck into a gas meter before.
oh no,
Yeah.
that's a bad day. That's not a good
It's a
day.
really bad day for them. Yeah.
All right, so you're able to quickly fix, repair, install the new gas lines, and identify the leaks and detect the problems.
Correct. Yeah. We have our own way of searching for leaks. I mean, for the most part, it's pretty standard across the board. If you're registered with the state of Texas, licensed, insured, and bonded, and then also if we're set up with the city of Houston, in our case, you can get things rolling pretty promptly, because in our situation, we view a customer that has a gas line issue, they in a way that it's an emergency. If they don't have their heat to their home, or they can't cook,
Not
at
to
their place.
mention the possible fire hazards, and
That too, yeah. So,
that's the first thing that
um,
comes to my mind.
yeah, yeah, no, no, no. I had a customer mention to me the other day, and I kind of stopped thinking about this after a while, but because we jump on it pretty quick. But some people, they don't get somebody out there, and there's some instances where, say, another trade is out there and someone's out there smoking a cigarette, and they don't realize it. and within a split second, a home can blow up. So that's why we try to jump on it as quickly as possible. Because if you got a water leak outside, yeah, it may be an emergency, but this gas leak in someone's home or just outside their home, that could blow up a block,
Yeah,
you know?
that doesn't rot wood. That's deadly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's different. All right, so I'm gonna give my plumbing story. I had a water heater put in. The guy put it in, and I said, "Hey, this is great. I won't need another one for 16, 18 years." And he laughed at me. So
Yeah.
I guess my experience, water heaters don't last like they used to. Should people have them? Like, is there a maintenance for a water heater? Every couple of years, have
Correct.
someone look at it, or
Yes.
every year?
Depending on what style of heater you've got installed in your home, like we provide maintenance services for tankless water heaters and your tank style, your traditional style water heater. So um, tank style water heaters need to have a cleaning service done with them about once a year, once every 2 years, depending on usage.
Didn't know
So,
that.
and if they don't, then you're reducing the lifespan of them. And then your tank style, there's also a way to help provide a longer lifespan for them too.
So, what are some? You and I had talked about water heaters before, and they put them in crazy places in houses that make no sense to me. So, to avoid that thing from blowing up, I mean, what are some problems that can be, you can eliminate? Obviously, you can't eliminate 100% of the risk, but what are some things that can be done to make sure that water heater doesn't just blow up and dump water everywhere?
Yeah. So we're really big on having customers have an annual checkup. Sometimes we offer it to a point, depending on how interested the customer is. We always recommend at least annual, and we do a full home inspection on their plumbing system. Everything that we can see, we take time to take a peek at. So if they've got, say, a water heater has an issue that they're not paying attention to, like we had a customer that had a leak on a water valve right above their water heater, and the water, because it had been dripping for so long, the rust was eating away at the tank of the water heater. So yeah, slowly but surely, it was just getting ready to pop, and you got 40 gallons of water just sitting over your head. And if no one knows where to shut the water heater off, there's more than 40 gallons flowing through your house. It's just going to keep on going. But
Well, that's true. The water
we
will
can.
be pumping through that thing, won't it?
Oh, that's right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. If you don't have anything that's going to be shutting that off, whether you shut it off at the meter outside, or if hopefully there's a home shut off installed in your home. If not, they definitely should get one.
Mm.
But we can also relocate the water heaters to a different space. Like maybe they have space in their garage that we can install them in. And in some cases, we've had people build out a little coverage, a little box for these water heaters right outside their homes, just to make sure it's not exposed to the weather is bad.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea because when they go, it's a big deal,
Yeah.
and you
Yeah.
just
And
never
it's a
know.
whole lot easier to change them out when they're easier to access. So if they're in the garage or outside the home in a space that's covered up,
Right.
or a box built for it, it still has to have air to breathe too, because if it doesn't have a flame going to it, if it's a gas water heater, then it's going to suffocate just like you or I would if we didn't have any air.
Yeah.
So,
Well, water heaters are a must-have. That's great news. You repair, install, maintain them
yeah,
with a professional look and attitude. So that's
thank you.
everyone should use you for their water heaters.
Yeah.
So repiping is or getting new. I've actually had this done on my home as well. How long do pipes last? Like, how long does a piping system? And is it different between new construction and older construction? Like, how long do
Yeah.
they last? It's something nobody thinks about. I promise you.
Yeah. So a lot of your galvanized piping systems were installed between the 50s to 80s, even sometimes a little bit before. And if we think about that time frame, 1950s to 1980s, we're in 2023 now. So you guys do the math.
Yeah.
As we're recording this video, that's quite a few years. I mean, That's those pipes are older than I am. So after say 30, 50, 60 years or more, there's been so much sediment and buildup running through these pipes that of course there's going to be rust that happens. Then that rust is going to eat the pipes from the inside out. And this is just galvanized piping that we're talking about.
I
New
think I had copper.
construction.
Is that the same
Say
thing?
that again.
I think I had copper piping.
Copper, yeah. So I'm a fan of copper personally. A lot of times it'll last longer, but tying back into the builder's grade issue with it, like builders are going to install a thinner wall piping. So they install type M copper a lot of times. They're trying to save money
Absolutely,
and
every
you
penny.
know, yeah, everybody else can pay for it later. In some cases, you get a great builder that installs type L, which is what we install.
Mm-hmm.
Type L is just going to be a thicker wall copper, and to us, it lasts longer and services the customer for, in a better way because it's not going to be something they got to replace within 10 years or so. Sometimes they get lucky, and they don't have a weather issue where it freezes and that type M copper just splits real quickly. But not saying that type L can't. It's just more resistant to it. And with us, if we're going to install copper, we make sure that we insulate it all.
Is there anything that tips you off that the pipes are going bad?
Yes, so there'll be a reduction in pressure, and then for galvanized, for example, you're going to have little pits or little pinholes in the pipes that will, in some cases, seal over, like seal themselves. Like they may start to leak just a little bit, and that water line leaking, it might be just as thin as like a spider web just spraying. But over time, that can soak a piece of sheetrock, and then finally it all falls through. But the sediment and buildup in those pipes can seal themselves off after a while, which sounds great, but the issue is that water's still flowing through there. Bigger and bigger and bigger as it keeps trying to do that. Um, with CPVC, which is more your new construction installations, those piping systems get brittle after a certain amount of time. Uh, I'd like to say 5 to 10 years. I'm not a fan of CPVC because what happens in the cold, it cracks and splits in so many different places. Um, if customers are having to deal with or worried about the water in their pipes freezing, and they don't want to have to go through what we went through in I believe it was 2021
We
freeze
had it
down
here too.
here. Yeah, it was huge. Like we had the governor of the state of Texas calling for anyone with a Texas plumbing license to get down there or get down here and help us out to
Wow.
try to get water back for everybody. But we install an expansion PEX, which is designed to expand almost like a piece of bubble gum
Okay.
with that expansion of the water, so it can withstand the freezing like that. Now you might not have water because the water's frozen in the pipes, but at least you don't have water damage once you do get water back to your home.
Well, that's and you can repipe a whole house or business or whatever. Y'all can go in and do the whole thing.
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we
I was
can go
just
in, cut everything out, or if they want to leave it in there for whatever reason, that's fine. They're trying to save some money of what's demoing it, which some cases that doesn't work out. But we can go in and replumb the whole system, and then that way they've got fresh water flowing through, and they don't have sediment flowing into their showers or their water filtration systems or great that you have that filter on your refrigerator, but one, how often do you change that filter? And then think about how
never.
dirty. Yeah,
Never.
never exactly. Most people don't.
I didn't even know
All
I
that,
had one.
yeah, all that rust that's flowing through that filter, it kicks that filter's butt pretty quickly.
I'm gonna go
So
take a
then
look at
you're
that.
drinking rust,
Well,
but most people don't think
I'm gonna
about
Google
that.
where mine is and look at it.
Yeah, yeah.
So it sounds like there's so many things that go wrong on a home. Is there anything like a plumbing inspection somebody could get? Like if they're worried, they can buy a
Yes,
plumb. You pay for someone to come and inspect everything. I mean, is that a thing?
that is a thing. So that's something we're starting to provide for our customers more consistently because we want to develop a customer base that is interested in preventive maintenance. Yeah, we do emergency services, but we also want to be able to inspect someone's home to help give them a priority list of what's, highest priority, like, hey, this is leaking currently or about to leak, and so on, because that helps prevent all the water damage and you having to call a restoration company to come
Yeah,
save all your stuff. Like I said before, if they call us and are interested in that service, we'll offer that to them at a certain price, depending on how big the home is and the plumbing
sure.
system is, of course. And then we'll go in and give them a report because we'll go through and visually inspect everything. We also have higher level inspection reports where we'll test out the systems, and that way they know and they're not caught by surprise. Because the thing with being a plumber is a lot of times people are calling you and it's for an emergency. But if you can help prevent those emergencies, it becomes a massive deal. So that's what we're aiming for our customers as well.
An honest plumber, because you'd make more money if everything didn't get taken care of and just blew up. You
That's
would make
right.
more
That's
money.
right. Yeah.
Well, that's
Yeah.
great.
But to us, we believe that there's so many people out there to serve. So we try to just show up with, to the best of our ability and be able to tell everyone what we see through our plumbing lens and our experience, within the industry. So that way it's a win-win for all parties.
I agree. I agree. Well, look, it has been fantastic speaking with you, and it's amazing the knowledge that comes out of experts when you just sit one on one and ask simple questions. That how often, like for me, how often do I get to go and have lunch with a plumber? They're out working, and how often do I get to pick their brains? So this was really helpful for me and everyone who watches. It's gonna learn something as well. I'm most certain. So
Awesome.
I am your plumber in the Houston, Texas area. Is there anything else you want to let the residents of Houston know and why you're the best?
Um, we show up with honesty, and one last thing, when they're thinking of plumber, who's your plumber is my tagline, and then of course I'm your
I
plumber.
am your plumber. I think it's a great name. I think it's awesome.
Thank
I
you.
think it's
We just get
awesome.
straight to the point.
Well, I really look forward to watching your business grow. Um, it was great chatting with you. We at Digital Red Zone look forward to your continuing success, and we're gonna push this video out and hopefully tons and tons of people see it. And because I really think putting this knowledge out there for people to see on their own time is beneficial. And I know I learned something, so I really appreciate it. And I'm sure
Awesome.
I'll be
You're
talking
welcome.
to you again soon.
Yes. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Have a good one. And thank you for all the listeners.